We need to get you some.
I wish. Not tonight. I'll have some next week.
All right, everybody. Hello. Welcome to Talkin Tolkien. This is John St. Baptiste. I am with my guest, Zeta Alpha.
Hey, everybody. What's up?
How are we doing tonight? I'm going to let a couple people pop in the chat. It takes a second for the messages to go up, but we are going to talk some Tolkien. These are two really great chapters. A lot of introduction, a lot of with these two chapters, you really feel like the hobbits are going out into the world. You know, they're going from their iconoclastic small area to
tiny part of the world,
the greater world. It even says news from Bree. Like this is where the Hobbits world meets the rest of the world.
And that is God's truth, because they didn't know a thing about the world. They've heard some things, and Bree was a long ways away. I mean, they had sayings about Bree, and let alone the other hobbits and stuff. But that's after they get there and talk about it and talk to people some.
Yeah, exactly. I and Tolkien does something in these two chapters that, as a writer myself, is so important, and that's putting the gun in the desk.
Yep.
Because I'm not going to say what happens, especially because it ends so much differently than the movie does.
Oh, yeah.
But all of the tracks are laid for the train that runs to the Scouring the Shire.
Yep.
In this chapter.
Yeah.
All of the tracks are laid. The gun is put in the desk.
Well, that's right, exactly where it should be.
You know, because you need the gun in the desk on page 500.
Let's see what page is that. Yeah.
Well, it has to be put in the desk on page 30. You know what I'm saying?
On page 30, did you say?
If you need a gun in the desk on page 500, it needs to be put in the desk on page 30.
Oh, yeah. I'll go with you on that. Hell yeah. You need the power that's obviously there. I mean, we've got Strider, and we've got good folk that we've been introduced to. It was kind of odd once the hobbits got into Bree and everything, and they made it to the Prancing Pony, which is where we're at tonight. The way that Strider was introduced, because he didn't just walk through the gate.
Yeah, he seems like at first you're wondering, you're like, this is a dark, shady guy.
Yeah. And he was just off in the corner, smoking his little pipe, drinking a little ale, having
sneaking over the fucking wall.
Do what?
Sneaking over the wall.
Yeah, sneaking over the damn wall to get in. And what's better, the watchman had no idea. You know, they didn't know. Nobody knew. He was a little shadow and popped up.
Well, he rolled like a 16 dicks.
Yeah. 18 plus almost. He has good dexterity no matter what. I think. My gosh, we go into this intelligence, dexterity, and all that. And he got some high rolls.
Oh yeah. Strider, I'd go. Oh gosh, if I had to break it down in D&D terms, I'd say 12 strength.
Yeah,
18 dex.
definitely. He's got to have that. Yeah.
13 intelligence, 19 wisdom.
Yeah.
And probably 20 charisma.
Oh, now wait a minute. He was not very charismatic to start off with. He was a rascal, It just sort of showed up.
He was in real life.
In real life, yeah, I have to agree. He did definitely have it then, but starting off in the book, he was just one of them rascals and guys that don't follow the rules.
I love breaking characters down to D&D terms.
Just let me know when I got to roll the 20 side, okay? I got to have my right saves going on. Get my 10 side out for. Well, yeah, I don't even know how all those go nowadays. So, but yeah, so our man Strider slipped into the. Well, maybe he was there before, because the Hobbits got in there. Well, okay. Early on, and this is before some of the gymnastics that were performed by Frodo. It says right here, the Hobbits did not pay much attention to all this, as it did not, at the moment, seem to concern Hobbits. In other words, the big folks doing their thing in the bar or whatever.
Right.
And then Pippin did his little bit to fit in, because I think the Brelanders were all like, "Hey, nice to meet you, nice to see you," and sit down, sit back, and have some fun. And then they see this guy in the corner.
Yeah, in the other thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration is Pippin and Merry are like basically teenagers.
Yeah, they're showing their tweens
in Hobbit years. Like Pippin's like a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
Think about how intelligent of decisions you made when you were 16.
Man.
And Mary's like 18, so he can join the army and vote.
Yeah. But Mary wasn't he the standoffish one here, the one that went out for air and stuff like that?
Yeah, he was like, "Hey, it's a little stuffy in here. I need to go get a breath," which that was one of the things that was left out of the movie.
Yeah, out of the movie. Yeah,
it's in the Bashi film.
Really?
If you've seen, have you seen the Ralph Bakshi film?
I don't think so.
The animated Lord of the Rings.
No, I saw the animated Hobbit, but never the Lord of the Rings.
Oh, you need to check it out from 1977. For one thing, it's fucking Ralph Bakshi. I mean,
Yeah.
The man was absolutely brilliant. God rest his soul. But also it the way he tells the story is a little better, in its own way, than the way Peter Jackson told. And don't get me wrong, I love Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings films.
Yeah.
I don't feel quite the same about the Hobbit films. I think that the same mistake was made as was made with George Lucas in some later films that he made, and it was just like nobody said no to him.
Yeah, and somebody needs to really to get a person to scope and have them on point more or less to get the movie made and to get it done right. It's got to be, yeah, you got to have an edge for them to be on tiptoe, tap dance on in my book.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. But one of the things that I think is so interesting is how much darker Bree is.
Yeah,
in the film.
It looked like a forbidding place, and it's not that way in the book. The book,
right?
They're all open and happy to hang out with him and all that. And Butterbur, for God's sake, they never. The movie didn't go on about the letter that was supposed to be sent, and I found that an interesting thing that Butterbur actually forgot it. But then again, you can't remember everything all the time, and that's where Butterbur fell down on the whole deal, unfortunately. So we have that.
I love how Butterbur is written. As a character,
I think he's written just about right because, in the book, he was rushing here, rushing there, doing this, doing that. Hey, no, come do this, and let's get this going. God, it's busy in here, and I forget things.
Yeah. He's not an idiot by any means.
No,
he's just he's like, I've got a million fucking things going on.
yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm screwed with this. I got all this, going on, and he did have a pretty full house in the book, and people were all talking and stuff. He wanted to get the hobbits from just sitting somewhere, which may or may not have been better for them to just not have ever gone into the great rooms where all the customers were. Because if they had not gone in,
they could have chilled in their quarters, like just done their thing.
Had they not gone in, things may have turned out better in Bree. But I think Tolkien had to nudge this whole deal on and get something to happen in Bree. And more than one something happened by a long shot. He had to push it out there. And I think, gosh, I hope everybody's read this part of the book. But, when Frodo fell off the table, that was an attention getter. And that started the whole, all right, we've got something very peculiar here.
Now here's okay. We're jumping ahead just a bit, and I'll get to the I'll get to Frodo's disappearing act in a minute. But he's trying to keep a low profile.
Yeah.
Mr. Underhill.
I thought that was an odd name. Underhill, a hobbit, Underhill. What the hell? But yeah, that was Tolkien. So
I think it worked. I think, but he's like traveling incog.
yeah, or trying to, anyways. Didn't quite do very well.
No, and that's the thing. Like I said, the film is so much more dark than the book when it comes to Bree.
Oh yeah,
but and I love it. It's a storytelling element in a film. I think it works so well. Like,
yeah,
because you feel like when the hobbits walk into Bree, you feel like they're out of their element.
oh, definitely out of their element, and it's got big folk, In Bray, it was the big folk and the small folk, for the little folk, whichever it does here. But yeah, the book, I got a foreboding feeling from when they get through the gate and they're way to the prancing pony. In the movie, uh, was dark, like you said. It was very dark, and that would have had me thinking twice about going anywhere besides out of town had I walked up into that kind of thing.
But even in the book, it's dark when they get to Bree.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The language. I mean, in Tolkien, he was always so brilliant with the way he used the English language.
Yeah. Well, that's Tolkien, now, man.
Like, because he was like a surgeon. He would take a scalpel
Yeah. And
and
really
cut
run
in
it down.
to the exact word that needs to be used here and the exact phrase.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was absolutely brilliant how in the book, like, you do get that sense of apprehension when they show up at the gate.
Oh, yeah. With the gate scene in the book, well, it was more or less the same in the movie. But the guy was like, "Oh, a hobbit! Oh, 4 hobbits! Now what?" Hey there, top shelf. That is in itself, but they've got the gate closed because it's after dark, which some towns are wont to do. Just like in Buckland, and asking their business and stuff. Um, I think that just kind of gets your mood going. Well, what the hell, Why are you here? Okay, and
Right.
then they go in.
I mean, if you're a gatekeeper, you're supposed to be asking.
You got to know something about the people you're letting into town, for crying out loud,
Like, why the fuck are you here?
Yeah.
But
Why?
on the same note, it's like it's made to feel very apprehensive.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like I said, like, Tolkien is a surgeon with words.
That is.
And he he rewrote the Lord of the Rings like 19 times.
Yeah. The last compendium I got, with all the definitions and stuff. In the forward of the book, it was like this guy said it's so damn hard because he rewrote this thing like the Red Book, and then he changed that, and then he changed this, and he changed some other stuff, and you got to wonder just what's going on with with a lot of the stuff happening, But as a writer, he changed his mind. And so, okay, we'll rewrite this. Because I think what were the first names he came up for was Strider and stuff. There's something really, really, I don't know, it seemed inane to me.
And Strider is such an interesting character. Like we're not going to talk about anything later in the book. We're talking about these 2 chapters.
Right.
But when he comes in, he's so interesting. He's so like, this is some dude who like lives in the woods.
Yeah. That's pretty much how Butterbur said him, we don't know these folk. He's a ranger. They don't come around real often, and we don't really know what they're up to.
They tell good stories, and very mysterious.
Yeah, that Strider was very mysterious. Oh, he's a ranger. What Butterbur is saying, and sitting in a darkened corner and just observing everything. He's got the walls to his back, and he's just watching the hobbits, just watching them, see what kind of crap they're going to do. Because I think before they got to Bree, he actually listened to them talk with Bombadil.
Yeah.
And, he heard their plans. They were just out talking. And where was Strider when he heard all this? Because he in the book, he discusses that. He discusses the whole thing about how they were not being real careful. Pardon me. He tells them back to him. This is
they weren't. They weren't careful at all. They thought they were being careful.
Well, what's careful for a hobbit? Well, let's see. They can hide. They can do all this. They walk without leaving, prints and all that. But openly talking about what the hell they're up to, no, not a good idea. And then what?
I just said I. Yeah.
They didn't know how to be secretive and all that. I mean, earlier on in the book, when Sam was revealed as the best spy, for the guys, the very night that Frodo and Sam got to the into Buckland and got to his actual home, they weren't questioning enough. I mean, you go to a bar or whatever, and you go there every day, and you know people, and so when a stranger shows up, you can ask them questions. But these guys were not keeping to themselves very well at all. I mean, they explained everything to Bombadil. They said, "Here, play with the ring, do whatever." No, they needed to be more careful, and I think Strider brings that back to them very, very artfully when he has a good talk with Frodo about what they're doing.
Yeah, well, he's like, you need to shut your mouth and move your feet.
Because you're just being way too open. And
Mr. Underhill.
Yeah, Mr. Underhill. Frodo was not doing a good job of being Mr. Underhill. He no.
No, he's bloody horrible at it.
Yeah, and of course you got to know that little tweens, the Merry and Pippin, they do what they normally do, and that is the downfall. They do what they normally do rather than shut the hell up and sit down and have a beer and see what's going on. That's not what they did.
Well, it's like I said. I don't think that they quite grasped
No.
what was going on. These two chapters are so interesting because it's Frodo learning to grasp the 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 power of what's going on.
Yeah, the real seriousness and what's going on, and just exactly who could tell on them. Which, how do they introduce that half orc guy? Tolkien had him as a swarthy faced man, and he was introduced as a strange person as well. And so we got Strider, who's kind of odd looking and rough looking, but then we've got this swarthy guy. That's all another thing. I got to get something else to drink. I'll be turning my back to the camera. You can see my microwave, and I'm reaching into my fridge to get another drink. Okay.
But yeah, I don't think Frodo got the seriousness of what was going on here.
No, they had no real clue about what it was they were up to and how they were doing things. That they just didn't get it. And Bree gets the whole this serious shit, boys. Because they didn't appear to be taking it as such a momentous occasion. They weren't paying attention to just exactly how serious their whole thing is.
Yeah, exactly. And then Strider comes out and he's like, well, actually, you're fucking up pretty bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Strider let him be known he's the guy that knew how to be, completely unnoticed if you wanted to be. And yeah, you're just fucking up. I am called Strider, he said in a low voice. Very pleased to meet you, Master Underhill.
Yes. I think in these two chapters that character is written so brilliantly.
He is. You get a feel for what is what's going on, because the ring becomes something more dangerous, something that's going to cause a big problem for these guys, and they haven't even gotten to Rivendell yet, so they had no real clue what they're actually up to. Okay, we're just gonna take this off someplace, and off we go. And then you meet these characters like Strider, and at an inn of all places, in a town that's very far away from home for the Shire Hobbits. That's a long ways away, but God, how far do they end up going? And they don't know a damn thing. So in this book, right here in this inn, they've got to get it straight. Look, boys, you got some serious shit going on. and you have to be more careful. And that's what Strider was telling him. Master Hill.
He's like, you know, you got to be more careful. And and the thing I love is that the way his character is written in these two chapters, he seems sinister.
Yeah, he does. He really did seem sinister to me.
But he's actually looking out for them.
Here it is. Strider is going to end up being an important character to these guys, and he's got to tell them how the game's going to play now, because in the book's introduction to Bree and to the Prancing Pony, and we get the mysterious Strider come in there, and he's talking to them. But then there's some other mysterious people that had a song to sing about them to somebody else. This swarthy character that I can find out where he was being discussed, but there's some other folks. And who was that one? The one big bully guy. Damn it, can't remember his name now.
Bill Fernie.
Yeah, Bernie. He was kind of unsavory. Say what?
A fucking cunt.
yeah. He was, and he needed to get his ass kicked really hard. And I was quite proud of Sam and his apple.
Yes, Sam and his apple. I loved Sam and his apple.
Yeah. And what did they say before, in chapters before, about if a hobbit stoops and reaches to the ground, you best be looking out, because he's going to chunk you in the head with something.
They they're very good marks people.
Yeah. And that's a good thing. Got a good eye. So they're agile. They got a high agility score. And
when the shit goes down, I want like 9 hobbits with guns in my house.
Hell yes. Because that will save your ass. Yeah. Because they're very good at hitting what they see that they want to hit. And that's, you need that. We needed hobbits in a lot of places.
But they're sensible.
Well, see, that's the makeup of a hobbit is he's connected to the earth. They're earth people, They want to farm. They plant flowers, I mean, they have gardeners and stuff, but they take care of nature and they really like nature. That's where they feel best, as the beginning of the movie introduced, I'm not seeing a whole lot of stuff out here. But hobbits are very earthy people. They're down to earth. They're quite simple about how they're going to be. They don't have real subtle ways, I don't think.
No, most of them don't. And the ones who do, like, fail miserably.
Yes. That's amazing. So now we've got these poor gullible guys in a village, a real live village they've never really been accustomed to. And they're at the inn. They're at the inn discovering things, and they're just being too damn friendly. And
yeah, in Frodo. Now, here's the thing, and you and I have discussed this off air.
Yeah.
The Ring.
The Ring, yes. Way to go, Linda.
Now, what was actually going on in this scene
And
with Frodo and the Ring?
With Frodo and the Ring, okay, the movie had it one way, but the book has it another way. We've got Pippin and Merry telling stories. I mean, Fatty whomever ended up looking like a dumpling when the ceiling fell in on him at Michael Delving, I believe. And then you go from there, and we're just in storybook time. What the hell am I doing here? And then Frodo himself, after speaking with Strider, after getting to know something, and after Strider tells him, look, you got to do something about this, what's he do? Well, he jumps up on the damn table and starts, claps his hands and gains everyone's attention and goes from there and sings a nice song.
And and then the Ring comes in. And this was something we talked about a bit off of air. I want your personal opinion. Do you think that the Ring, in and of itself, is evil? Or do you think that it just brings out a person's worst tendencies?
Now, this ring to me is totally evil, and it does what it can, and we see this through the book and through the movies. We see how the ring manages to do whatever. How was it that Gollum, he had the ring for a god awful long time, and he
500
murdered
years.
Yeah, he murdered his friend to get it, and he just saw the damn thing. Okay, that was part of Gollum, anyways. But he murdered the guy, took the ring, and then he got into a whole pile of trouble, right? So he ran off with it.
On the same note, the book says that Gollum was greedy.
Yeah.
Like before all of that, he was greedy. He my interpretation of the Ring has always been that it brings out a person's worst tendencies and magnifies them.
Well, it certainly does that.
But it's for me, the representation is that people are just bad.
Yeah.
But, and the Ring's just like kind of an excuse for their badness.
I wish I could blame that on rings, which I don't wear. In the books and in the movie, that ring actively got away from Gollum, actively went to somebody else. Somebody had to find it. It wasn't a pure accident that the ring left Gollum and Bilbo found it. Okay, that wasn't just the oddest chance in the world.
It says it right there. It has a will of its own.
Yeah, it has a will of its own. So when it comes to whomever bears the ring, yeah, it enriches the dark side of the person a lot. And we look at how did Bilbo, what did he do with the ring? Well, he used it to escape, way back when and all that. But what did he do with it afterwards? Besides shock the shit out of some people with it, just poof, he disappeared. I'm going now, and he's gone. Did the ring
Dude,
make?
Bilbo's speech was the best middle finger of all time.
Yeah. I like half as you.
Like Bilbo's speech and then his disappearance, was like the best middle finger of all time. It was just like
less than half of you as I want to, and I like half of you. Oh well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Half as well as you deserve.
Yeah.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've listened to Tolkien actually speak, and I can so picture him saying that.
Oh yeah. That's the thing with Tolkien. I just I would have liked to know the man, but the book was written in the year that I was born, I believe, or even before then. Well, he started way before then, but I think some of his first drafts were in like 1955 or something, or the book was actively published. I forget my history.
Fellowship came out in 1954.
Yeah, yeah. So that was before me by a year. But yeah, and Tolkien had all this stuff in his head to start off with, and he leads us on a merry chase with the Hobbit, and then we go with the Ring of Power, the Lord of the Rings, and we get a really full story, and we get something that he's got to spin his tail somehow. And the way he's spinning it with it, and the way the ring is, it definitely helped Gollum or Smeagol to be a bad person. I think he was encouraged, and the bad parts, if you want to say that, of Gollum or Smeagol were brought to the front by having the ring.
But his goals and aspirations were so small.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why, it helped him hide.
Yeah, it definitely did.
It helped him hide, and that's it.
Yeah, he was just like a placeholder in a book, or this is where a picture goes, and you don't have the picture yet, and that was Gollum. They crawled off up under the Misty Mountains or whatever, and ended up not too far away from a bunch of orcs, which I don't know. I remember parts of that saying he didn't like orc meat. He didn't like to eat the orcs too much, but the ring in itself, as they said in the movie, it heard its master's call, is what Gandalf said, and
and he lost it.
Yeah, and it was gone in a hot minute.
And who funds the fucking ring?
A damn, let's see, a hobbit.
this unassuming hobbit who's on this quest that he wasn't really planned for.
Yeah, definitely not.
I mean, I need to go back and talk about the Hobbit sometime, but
yeah, long discussion right there.
For me, the ring always represents It opens the door.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, you're already standing on the threshold of that door.
Yeah. And to get pushed through.
But the ring actually opens the door.
Yep.
And it brings out the worst in you.
Well, what was the very first thing that that Bilbo did when it, concerned the ring? Oh, he lied. He lied about how he got it and where it came from. It was, I wanted it, and it was given to me.
No, their very first thing Bilbo did was spare Gollum's life.
Oh yeah, yeah. Bilbo was uncommon. He didn't kill Gollum, and
he could have.
yeah, very easily. I would have popped him right in the head. That'd been that. That nice sword he had, or dagger, would have done Gollum in. And if it was me, I know that in my mind. But I'm not in the story.
As Gandalf says in the Shadow of the Past, Bilbo's pity.
Yeah, Bilbo pity
changed everything.
Yep.
Like, it was so important that he actually he could have killed Gollum, and he didn't.
He could have done a lot of things, and no, he didn't. He didn't kill Gollum, and he didn't do that many. He didn't really do any real terrible deeds or anything like that. The ring was having a very hard time corrupting Bilbo Baggins.
No, I mean, he used it to hide from family members he didn't want to learn.
Yeah. God, if I'd known about, if I could find a ring for that, there would have been a lot of family members who just had no idea it existed. It's like, I don't want to see you people go away. Put on the ring. I'm gone. I'll listen to you all damn day, but I don't want you to see me.
But yeah, these two chapters are, I think, overlooked quite a bit, and I think they're actually very important. For one thing, like I said, if you've read the books all the way through, the gun's put in the desk.
Yeah. It's definitely in the desk. It can be grabbed at any point in time. But, it's good to have it there.
And it's interesting how the film made it breathe so much more sinister.
I don't know what Jackson was doing there, but he did. He made it an
awful,
terrible place.
It bloody well worked.
Yeah. He definitely had it be a place that just nobody'd want to be. Number one, the rain. That's always bad for me. You want me outside in the rain, you got to have some money or something. But the way that it was set up, just a dark place, a scary place, a place that makes you suspicious. And that was what Bree needed to do, was make everybody suspicious of what's going on here.
Right, because the two chapters leading up to this were cut out of the movie.
Yeah.
So you don't have Tom Bombadil, which honestly, Linda and I were talking about this on last week's episode.
Yeah.
I think it was good that Bombadil was left out of the films.
He would have really screwed things up.
He would not have worked on the screen. He would have been Jar Jar fucking Binks.
Yeah, and we all want Jar Jar everywhere, right? I need Jar Jar right here.
But also you have the the Borrowites were left out.
Yeah.
And to me, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Borrowites are 10 times as terrifying as Nazgul.
I would be more afraid of the Barrow-wights than I would have than the Nazgul, because the Nazgul can be gotten away from, and then I don't think the Hobbits got away from the Barrow-wights, and Hobbits are resistant to magic. You know, I mean, and that was made plain way back, and yet that White got them all right off. He didn't even have to work to get them.
Yeah,
he just up and got them.
And you know, they were just absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I read it, I was like 14 the first time I read The Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the Barrow Downs just terrified the living shit out of me.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't want to be in there at all. You know, and reading that, I was really stoned out of my mind most of the time I read these books. Did that on purpose. Just being, you know, oh wow, and dealing with the whites there, not something I, you know, it's like, whoa, look out, you know, I don't want this. They're more scary than Nazgul. I mean, in the movie, the Nazgul had this high pitched screech that sent terror through people, and they could obviously kill you if they got their hands on you. But so can anybody, pretty much. The Barrow-wights, they just kind of up and did it, you know. They froze these guys. That was that. And they were all asleep, and they had to do all this stuff. Oh, I'm being visited by a dog. Hi, dog. Go away now. He won't leave. I'll have to let him out. Oh, well. But he opens the door. I leave it ajar, and he'll pop the door open, and then he'll come in and want to be petted, snoop in the trash, that kind of thing. We go lab and Labrador and pit bull mix.
So yeah, with the ring though, Frodo sings his song.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was a nice song.
And then he's asked to sing it again, and he sings it again, and then he happens to pop the ring on his finger.
Yeah, accidentally. What's he do? He's on the table and he's singing the song again about the merry old inn. There isn't a merry old inn beneath an old gray hill.
Beneath an old gray hill.
Yeah.
And then the beer so brown, the man in the moon himself came down one night to drink his fill.
Yep. Yeah. And it went from there. And he got into the song, you know. I don't know how much of the beer he'd been drinking before, but he got into it. He was on the top of the table because Strider was telling him about Merry and Pippin. Look, you got to do something. You better do something quick. And so that's when Frodo jumped up on the table, clapped his hands to get the attention off of them because they were starting to talk about Bilbo and such.
Right.
And so he did that.
And then he draws quite a bit of attention to himself.
Yeah. Another smart move that Strider didn't really like because, you know, okay, he couldn't go over there and say, shut up, you guys, because that wouldn't work. So he just drew the attention off of them and tried to steer it away from Bilbo and the Shire. And then he gets excited singing his song. He jumps up on the table, you know, I mean, he jumps up and down, and his feet didn't do him any favors. And that's when, you know, that fateful moment when the ring, they say, takes its chance, or the ring somehow got off the chain and onto his hand. You know?
Do you think that the ring has a will of its own?
I think it has a will because it's got Sauron's spirit within it. His life force.
I'm saying, do you think it's Sauron's ring, and that's how it does what, or do you think it has a will of its own?
I'd say it has its own will, but the will is close to its master's will, obviously, because
Okay.
somehow the guys just, I should put this on my finger, even when they knew deadly terrible that that's not what you do, but they did it anyways, and the ring had that sort of influence on them.
Right, and especially when you're considering some of the people who were in that inn.
Yeah. It grabbed attention, so that more word could be given about him. And yes, Linda, the hobbits were like a sacrifice. They were all put in his clothes, dressed like him, arranged by him, and what those whites were going to do is, we never did get to find out because they sort of the Bombadil song, to get the hell out of Dodge. It was a bad place to be, very bad place. And that you just have to. I wouldn't want to be in a spot like that. Although Bombadil, I don't know, man. He was a special case, a special fella. Bless his little heart. But now we've got, let's see, John is obviously making another drink. And
I think Bombadil's magical power was having no fucks to give.
Yeah. Amazing that you said that because, there were no fucks to give. And I think I got to yell at the dog.
But on the same note, in a couple chapters.
I know what you did, Animal.
In a couple of chapters, somebody says something about, well, why don't we give him the ring?
Yeah.
And the other person's like, no, that'd be a really bad idea.
That would be really bad because that's a bad person or a person that could run into worse things. I got to let this dog out of here. I think he's left me a present. So I'll be right back.
Okay. Zeta's popping out for a second. Who's in the chat right now? We have Linda Smith. We have Zeta. We have Justin. Kind of small chat tonight, but that's okay. Because I just love talking Tolkien to you guys. I'm going to do the shameless plugging right now while Zeta's letting his dog out. New video is up. If you want to check out some of the music that shaped my youth, you should definitely check that out. You can find it right here on my channel. Let's see. I could tell a really funny joke, but most of my jokes are extremely dirty. And I have to be a little careful.
Sorry about that. The dog has
Oh,
bad
no, it's
manners.
fine.
Pardon?
Yes, fine. I have a turtle. She's pretty low maintenance, but yeah,
Well,
a dog is pretty high maintenance.
yeah, he if he's like stuck from not paying attention to him or something, he will leave a small reminder that he was here, but they're not small. He's like a miniature horse. Anyways, that had to go. And shut the door so he couldn't get back in. Oh well. He had that. I got up and looked at him. And I just went, and he ducks his head and all that. And he's like, "Oh, I know I fucked up. I did bad, but I couldn't help it." That's what I do whenever I don't know what to do. I shit on somebody's floor.
I remember those days. I called them college.
yeah, college. Oh my! I had a whole different college going on after I got out of high school. But yeah, it's all part of the book of life as far as college goes or whatever. Yeah, Linda, I love dogs too, but I don't like a lot of crap they do. And the crap they leave on the floor is one of my least favorite things. Just one of those deals. So I should be in Bree right now, and nobody left crap on floors there. So I would have a better time, especially watching Frodo, Mr. Underhill, jump up and down on the damn table. And then somehow he fell through the floor or something after this great song.
And the ring comes right out of his pocket.
And it's on his hand.
And it's on his hand.
So it has a will of its own. Because if it was inanimate, it wouldn't accidentally get put on so much. It wouldn't accidentally be lost by Gollum. And then the ring comes to Frodo. And even at this point, it's starting to have a little bit of something to do with his feelings about the ring. And it magically jumps on his damn hand. I mean, if it didn't have a will, somebody would have to take the action to do this. But Frodo's hand magically just ended up with the ring on it.
Well, and that's what I was saying. That for me is the question throughout the whole book. Yes, I agree that the ring has a will of its own.
Yeah.
But does it make the person do what they do? Or do they do what they do and the ring just makes them more able to?
Mm-hmm. Bilbo and Frodo weren't evil sorts, and yet they fell in love with the ring. And yes, Bilbo lied about it right off the bat. Frodo doesn't lie about it, but he ends up going down the path that Gollum was on, that he had for 500 years. And the elves say that it kind of just rotted his mind. It ate him up. And he was of absolutely no use. But he had a horrendous need for it, like some kind of drug.
No. You and I were talking about this earlier.
Yes.
In the pre-stream. Like, one of the things I love about Tolkien is that he said, I detest allegory.
Yeah.
but there is applicability.
Yeah.
Depending on one's life. And given some of the people who I've known and some of the circumstances that I've been through, like, the ring's dope.
Yeah. Definitely. It's high grade.
It's like dope. And somebody is like, they will do anything for it.
Yeah. Look at poor Gollum. He was bad kind of to start off with, but he got that ring and he wore it around. And of course, he went and he spied on people and all that other stuff, right? With the ring on his hand, they were one, so to speak, like the ring and the master, the ring and Sauron were one. They are one, I think, is what Gandalf said. And it corrupted people.
Yeah.
And it corrupted the hell out of Gollum. And Bilbo wasn't terribly effective, and yet he was.
I think more than anything, it brings out the worst in people.
Yeah.
Whatever
they bring out the worst.
Whatever their worst is.
But what was Bilbo's worst? I didn't really. He wasn't.
Bilbo wasn't a very bad person, so there wasn't a worst to really bring out.
There was no tools to work with. And the same thing happened with Frodo. There were no tools. They were innocent, wide-eyed, little, good kids from a good background, all that other stuff, And yet the ring etched its way in. Bilbo had a terrible time just letting it go. And so he had to break his addiction somehow.
No, I think that's one of the things the film did so well.
Yeah.
Is when he lets go of the ring.
Yep.
And it's actually pretty interesting. They put a magnet on the floor underneath to make it just like clunk down.
Well, yeah. It grew in sizes. It was big. It was little. It had,
but Bilbo was the one person to let it go. Frodo didn't let it go.
No, Frodo did not. Unfortunately, he was. It got to him, and I would expect that.
We'll get to that in a few months, but
yeah,
I think that's a great way to put it, is that, it brings out the worst in people.
Yeah, it definitely does.
It takes whatever your worst traits are and magnifies them.
Yeah. What was it that Gandalf said? He was afraid to touch it. He didn't want to touch it because he first touched it and was like, oh God, I know what I'd do. I would use this ring for something good. And then all hell would break loose, because it would wield him. He wouldn't wield it. And if someone with the background that Gandalf had, if it could screw him up, thank God it was in the hands of a hobbit that had absolutely no real mischief in them, because otherwise there's some heavy shit coming down.
Yeah.
And the way that it made the people admire it, it's like, first you use heroin, and then not too long after you use it regularly, it uses you. It eats you up and spits you out till you take that one last, hit or whatever.
There's that old Japanese phrase, and it's talking about alcohol.
Yeah.
It's like first the man takes the drink, then the drink takes the drink, then the drink takes the man.
Yep. It definitely can. But I like it.
Oh, so do I. Do you know what I do for the Scottish economy?
Yeah, you and me both, brother.
Like,
my bottles are back here. You can't see them. They're on the shelf with the what the hell is it?
Scotland's economy would fail if it weren't for me.
There you go. They would miss me, but they would get over it. I'm not quite like the COVID-19 thing, but
I actually owned a square foot of the island that Lefroy is made of.
I would love that. I would, yes, I would give a lot to get a hold of one of those. It would be awesome just to have,
Oh, you can if you buy a bottle of Lefroy, because they don't want the development to be happening on their island.
Yeah.
If you buy a bottle of Lefroy, you can actually you sign up online and
I have to look that up.
And what's really cool is you can talk to your neighbors.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Kind of fun.
We just hang out with the dudes, yeah. Because I would, and then it would take me a long time to shut up, and then finally the drink would finish me off for the night or whatever, and then I'd wake up wherever, A lot of times I woke up in my chair, which I'm good at doing. I can sleep in this chair. Not really. It kills my back if I sleep in it. But yeah, when it comes to alcohol, I like big drinks, not little sips. That's my failing in life.
Linda Smith has a very good point. Gandalf was afraid to touch it.
Right. And that is because Gandalf had an inkling that it would just be too much. If he actually had a hold of that ring, too much crap would go down. Wanting to be good and use it for the proper things, but the ring would totally have his ass as soon as he put it on. There would be no taking it off unless it was chopped off.
So something we get into much later.
Yeah.
Spoiler warning, everybody. Is when Sam has the ring.
Yeah.
And the first thought is that he could make a garden that takes up the whole world.
Yeah. So that ring has a will to make you believe this shit.
And he's like, I just want a garden that I can go into. I can go into my garden and I can look at my flowers and
I could do all this stuff.
But for a moment he has that thought that I could make a garden that takes over the whole world. So Samwise Gamgee, I personally think is the real hero of this entire story.
Yeah, I think so. He, like in the movie, he managed to push Frodo into the background. But yeah, Samwise was just. I mean, we hear so much about him. We read so much about Sam because he has these very definite ideas. The old gaffer brought him up right, and he's just one stubborn little shit. And he goes on and he likes his garden and he doesn't have a clue about the world, really. I mean, beyond going to learn his letters from Bilbo and all that crap, and to cutting the grass too close to the window before Gandalf placed him with Frodo to take a nice long hike. Well, that's pretty much what happened, man.
It's a good way to put it.
And then Sam, yeah, very long. Sam,
it's the distance.
The effects of it.
It's the distance from Kansas City to Tampa.
Oh my God, I would not want to end up in Tampa, but although I think that state's okay, I just don't want to go there.
And they did that shit on foot.
Yeah, can you imagine that? Can you imagine walking out? Now, I marched some. I did a lot of walking in places I didn't like, but I don't think I marched quite that long and, quite that far. Not near. Even in basic training, I think we had a 20-mile hike and a 20-mile march.
Oh yeah, I was never in the service, but playing baseball in school, we'd run 5 miles in the morning.
Yeah.
And then you lift, then you take a shower, then you go to class.
Yeah.
And you do school all day, and then you get off, and you run another 3 miles.
You gotta have that.
And then you practice.
Yeah, practice.
It makes you a good baseball player.
Yeah, it makes, I guess. I mean, you should be able to hit the ball and run with it or run from it, be able to knock it out the park, hopefully, and then run as far and as fast as you can.
I caught the ball more than I hit the ball. That was my job.
There you go. Yeah, I didn't get to play baseball in a sporting environment because I really don't have depth perception. So, by the time I'd see the ball, it would smack me in the forehead. I'd probably have a dent right about here.
And we had a pitcher, one of our 3 pitchers at my school could throw an 85-mile-per-hour fastball.
Holy crap. That's fast for school.
In high school.
Yeah, that's way fast.
Unfortunately, he discovered drugs and his career ended. But
yeah,
he was such an amazing pitcher. And oh my God, I hated catching for him because the next day, my hand was just like a piece of hamburger.
Yeah, your hand stings after a while. And fastballs.
I'd have to soak it in ice. I would literally sit there all day with my hand in a bucket of ice.
Well,
because it would be like my left hand was twice the size of my right hand.
I can see that. I really could. From catching a ball every once in a while, just screwing around. And, if somebody throws it hard and you catch it, now it's different with a mitt, but it still hurts no matter what. And so he zings one in at 85 miles per hour. You get that field hockey. Oh my God, Linda. Oh no! If I have to watch the projectile going, I'm screwed because I can't tell how far away it is. I know that it's getting bigger, but by the time it gets bigger, it's hitting me mostly. So I had to quit being a target in sports. It's just one of those things. And then I went and played a different type of target.
So Frodo, makes his big fuck up.
Yeah.
And then Strider, this shady ass character, drags him upstairs. He's like, Hey, we're getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah, you done too much now, son. You done it. You shouldn't have got to drinking as much as you did, and jumping on the table really screwed you, boy. And now, that's where that suspicious other guy, he leaves the
much later in the book.
Yeah, now we've got some honest to God intrigue going on. What is this guy up to? Well, he didn't see the ring, but he saw somebody just fucking disappear. Which really irritated the customer.
What would you do if you saw somebody disappear?
Well, physically leave nothing behind. I would, I'll go like, something's up here,
Like I saw David Copperfield when he made the Statue of Liberty disappear.
Yeah, I still haven't figured out how they do that shit. But if a person just disappeared, not being a magician, just poof, gone, I'd have to ask some questions.
I do sleight of hand. I know how a lot of the shit is done.
Okay, yeah, but how do you hide the Statue of Liberty?
I have no idea how the fuck you pull that off.
How do they do that?
Like they're like I do stage magic. There are a ton of like stage magic tricks that are going to impress somebody else.
Yeah.
That I know exactly how they're done because I do them. Yeah, when Dave Copperfield made the Statue of Liberty disappear, I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah. How do you do that? It's not like, is it mass hypnotism? Is it,
it's because he's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, and he knows it's his sleight of hand is. That's what stage magic is. It's all sleight of hand.
Yeah.
I can turn a penny into a nickel, into a dime, into a quarter.
Cool. Could you do that like 10 million times for me? I want to have all them quarters.
And there was one time I actually did it and turned the quarter into $1.
Oh, now that is a rare gift. Don't you know? I'd be asking for that.
I know how you do that. And there's a lot that psychologically goes into how you do it.
Yeah.
And half of stage magic is honestly it's your presence.
Yeah.
In the way you talk to the people who you're dealing with, the audience.
Yeah. Well, you have to. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to get them involved big time.
Pay attention to this hand. Don't pay attention to this hand.
That's right. Look at my left hand. Look at the right one's up here doing this. Who has that saying? Was it Glenn Beck? I think it was always going on about Soros, George Soros.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, he's always talking about the hand thing and what Soros was really doing when he was off doing this other thing. But yeah, our magic ring had nothing to do with that, unfortunately.
But so you get into the second chapter, and now we're actually meeting Strider as a person, and not as just this like curious character in the back. And he's like, hey guys, don't stay in that room.
Yeah. Come out here.
Let's go upstairs.
Oh, yeah. Strider.
And he seems so questionable.
Well, that's the thing about it. That's the thing about Strider. Now, he's just used to being furtive, I guess, and he takes great care in what he does or whatever. And he tries really hard to, I don't know, just survive. He's just a sketchy guy. I mean, he's wearing what is it, long boots, and he's all travel stained, I guess. The way to put it. You got dirt and stuff all over you. And
Yeah.
then he starts talking to Frodo, and he starts talking the real stuff about the ring. And he still seems kind of like
He subtly engages it, though. He never mentions the ring.
Yeah. Well,
he never mentions the ring specifically. Oh, you put your foot in it.
Yeah, you put
your finger, actually. Yeah, it's very.
Yeah, put your foot in it, or should I say your finger?
Yeah,
exactly.
He's. I think personally one of the most brilliantly written characters that Tolkien ever had.
Yeah,
and also,
he wouldn't let Frodo lie about it either.
If you follow the story, he's also probably the most heroic character.
Yeah,
that he never wrote. I mean, if you follow the story all the way through, Strider is probably the most good person.
Yeah, he's one of the shining points in a story with lots of points and people. Strider manages to do a very good job of, with the character of Strider. Tolkien took him from being a seedy, kind of suspicious-looking guy, and then he moves him into different things. All the while, Strider has this, but he evolves in front of your eyes just about, you can kind of see in the movie, but in the book, it's really specific about how he changes and people's opinions and things like that. At this point, he's got to make your mind, up and down with the balance scale. What is this guy up to? And what actually is a ranger? And
yeah, and I think the way he's written in the book is absolutely brilliant.
I have to agree.
It's this character that you don't know.
Yeah, you simply do not know anything about this guy.
And like the first time you read it, the first time you read it until you get further in the book, you're like always kind of questioning about
it. Yeah. That's part of a story arc, I guess you could say, because he does that on purpose. Tolkien just kind of weaves it in there, and you don't know what's going to happen until much, much later. What this guy is actually going to be or whatever. I used to say with the Hobbits, why were Hobbits chosen to be the heroes of the story? There were so many other heroes, and the Hobbit race doesn't die from this. Whereas, well, okay, now wait a minute. Gollum was a Hobbit type of creature as well, but he was, because he was eaten by the ring, he just looked entirely different. But
Gollum was a fucking junkie.
Yeah.
I mean,
and somebody took his damn drugs away.
I say that often, and I say that, but Like when I think of Gollum, I think of it like, oh man, come on, you got something, right?
Yeah, you got some on you, right, man? I'm really needing a little bit here,
You got what I need.
Yeah. You be scratching your arms and shit. I'm nervous.
Oh,
Man, I gotta have
I'll suck your dick for the rent.
it.
Like,
Oh, God. But that's about how it is. When a junkie needs something, when he needs it bad, what can I do to get this?
it and I'm sorry if that offended anybody out there in the chat or whatever, but yeah, that's what it makes me think of, is like the way Gollum acts is the way a junkie acts. It's like,
Yeah.
I need this so badly.
He follows these guys all over creation, hundreds of miles, with just that one thing in his mind. Get that flipping ring back and live happily after. He be the master, so to speak, in Gollum speak. But that's
Oh
way
yeah,
ahead.
he had his master. He had his master of fucking puppets.
Exactly. And that, oh wow. Yeah, total junkie.
He had his master of puppets.
Well,
And
yeah.
it was the ring.
Well, yeah. That, I think the
And
ring.
it was his drug. It was his fucking.
Well, the ring was everything in the book and even in the movie. The ring, it was all about a little golden ring, but it was full of evil and so much could be done with it. And to weave that in, you've got to have your ring junkies. Bilbo went into rehab, and Gollum said, "To hell with rehab. I'm gonna go find that, and get it back." And he went through all kinds of shit just to get hold of the ring. He could see it with, right close to him there. And he still had enough will left in his mind, to not just try to snatch it and run. But, poor Gollum was ate up.
Yeah. He, to me, Gollum is the most intriguing character in these books.
He is.
And I've read them. How old am I? 43.
Yeah, something like that.
29 times.
I was going to say, I don't think I've read him 40 some odd times. I know I haven't read him 60 some odd times.
I since I was 14, I read the book at least once a year, every year.
Yeah.
Because it really does mean a lot to me. But like I think about that, and I think about Gollum, and he
Gollum can be a real representation of what's bad.
It really makes you question your own personal civilities, because there's a certain part of you who's like, a person like this is just garbage.
Yeah, but he wasn't always.
And then there's the other part of you that's like, a person like this is a victim. And somebody should be doing something to make it his or her life better.
Yeah. But do that.
And you have that terror
Yeah.
You know, you really have that pull between the two concepts, because there's a part of you that's like, you know, you're just a fucking junkie.
Yeah. You're just a junkie. But
and then there's the other part of you that's like, I want to help you.
mm-hmm. That was a Frodo thing.
Oh yeah, that's the entire definition of the book. At least to me,
it was a Frodo thing.
it is that Frodo, you know, we'll get to that eventually. But Frodo makes some decisions about Gollum that are
Yeah, he does. He comes to understand Gollum a bit, and we become to understand Gollum a little bit too. I mean, we're told that that the ring was horrid and that it will mess you up. And it does, son of a gun. But the ring is so many different things. But yeah, just look at Gollum, and he's a poor, washed-up junkie that can't even get a fix of what he wants. Even if he has it, he's going to OD. Now, that sounds very familiar. You know, once you get what it is you want, what are you going to do? And for somebody who's ever abused drugs or whatever, you know what's going to happen. You're going to get it eventually. And then there it is. It has you.
yeah,
and there you are.
And the cost of having what you want is getting what you wanted.
Yeah, and that's the whole end game of that whole thing. You get what you want, but it's got you. I found that out a long time ago.
Okay. To get back to the story, because
yeah,
we are in the spoiler range, which
yeah,
with
no,
with my show, I the first half is spoiler free, and the second half is spoiler full.
Okay.
And people can talk about whatever the fuck they want to talk about.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah,
the whole thing.
But okay, so now we get into the chapter Strider.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Is there a bigger Banff ever? Like ever? Anywhere?
A bigger vamp? With Strider, at the very beginning, he's almost bargaining with Frodo and the other guys, but then he ends up leading them along and finding out what they think, what they know, and then ta-da, reality. You know, I mean, that's pretty much what goes on with this. And what happens, you know, with Strider is he sort of just, you know, then he turns into more than just some questionable dude that crept over a fence, you know, a gate to get into the city. Now he's more than that.
He's. I think you and I had this conversation. Did you see the Ralph Bakshi film?
No, not yet.
Okay. It always brings me to the reminder when he pulls out the broken sword.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you see the Ralph Bakshi film, it's awesome. It's
Cool.
fucking awesome. I can't believe you've never seen it. Oh my gosh.
I may have. I just don't remember. I could have. I
I
guess
do that too.
I lose things at times. They're just poof out of my mind. That's that, man. I'll never see him again.
I just smoke pot and watch Kill Bill. You know.
Oh no, that's fun. That's Kill Bill. Oh yeah, and yeah. Most of Quentin Tarantino stuff I'll watch just because it's Quentin Tarantino.
It's fucking amazing.
Mm.
But Kill Bill is I think is a masterpiece. Even more than Inglourious Basterds, which I absolutely love.
That was pretty good.
Because I hate Nazis. I hate Nazis so fucking much.
I really, really, really dislike Nazis myself. I try not to hate, but that's what it is.
No, I don't dislike them. I absolutely fucking hate them.
Okay then.
But Ralph Bakshi's film, when Aragorn pulls out his sword and it's broken.
Strider pulled it out?
Yeah. Thank you, Strider.
Yeah.
Pulls out his sword and it's broken.
It's like, broken shit. What do you do with that?
And then he says, I'm Aragorn.
Yeah.
Son of Arathorn. What does that mean to the hobbits?
Not a damn thing. I mean,
it's like you're like some dude.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And you got a broken sword. Cool.
But
what are you going to do with that?
It is so integral to that story. And that moment is so absolutely awesome. Like my top 10 Tolkien moments, that's one of them.
Yeah, I put that up there in the top 10 for sure.
Because he's just like, you know, I'm a fucking badass.
Yeah, I'm really a badass here, and you just don't know it. You just think because I wear dirty clothes and know about the woods that, you know, I'm nothing. But that's not it.
No,
it's a ranger. Period.
Yeah, it's like the film where you know, he's so
he gets a different look.
Quiet. And then Legolas is like, do you realize who you're talking to?
Exactly. You don't even know who you're talking to. You just, no, this is. But that's in Imladris. Well, I think he said it a few times myself. But yeah, he just went along. Strider just went along so quiet and so easy. You know, I mean, he would get them out of fixes while they're, you know, on the little walkabout there. He is constantly saving those poor hobbits, you know, and that's his main job on the way is keep these poor little devils alive and keep them alive for a very long time.
Yeah.
And that is a trick all on its own. And it takes a character like that. Now, being as unassuming as Strider is, he you it, I don't know, you don't see a lot of what he is
You
until
don't
it's to be revealed.
you don't need to be a loudmouth.
Yeah, yeah. Strider didn't give a shit,
You
but he
know,
did represent himself.
Strider gave it a very big shit because
Yeah.
there was a certain woman he wanted to marry.
Oh yeah, yeah. Strider just got himself all kinds of trouble there. And pushing off her daddy was the wrong thing to do.
Did you know? I think you and I have maybe had this conversation. Liv Tyler and I, to the date and the year, share the same birthday.
Oh man, yeah, man. I would share more than that with Liv Tyler. I encourage you to share as much as possible besides the birth date, because that would be a hell of a ride. To say it not really bluntly, but God, she's beautiful.
She's so beautiful that I can't even think of her on a sexual level.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. You look at her and go like, oh man.
It's
and you just can't dip down
no,
there.
actually, it's the brilliance of the casting because all the elves, like you're like, they're too beautiful to want to even fuck.
Yeah,
I just want to look at them.
that's the whole thing. And
but yeah, like, Liv Tyler and I share to the date and the year the same birthday.
I know there's got to be some beautiful woman somewhere born on my birthday, but I've looked my entire life so far, and I've not found another beautiful woman born on my birthday. A couple of kind of ugly ones, but that's just beside the point.
And how is Steven Tyler so ugly and make such a gorgeous child?
Freak of nature there. It was her mama's doing. It wasn't him. She just got the name. That's all she got from him. Mama done fix that up somehow, which is a good thing. Because no, Steven Tyler. Oh my God, I was convinced he was almost a devil himself. I saw Aerosmith on Ed Sullivan or one of those shows on TV, and they all wore black, and they sang. Which one was it? I don't think it was Dream On, but they sang some song. And I just came away from that thinking they've got to be the evilest things I've ever seen. I'll have to think on that because I was young, younger than you by a long ways. Anyways, yeah, Steven Tyler did not impress me as a man that I wanted to know.
But he was fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Steven Tyler is fucking brilliant.
I see him today, and I still go, I don't want to know that guy. But he does manage to do a good job at what he does. I think he's done very well. And he did a very damn good job coming up with Liv.
I did not know that you didn't care for him.
I love Aerosmith. Looking at him,
I have a very high opinion of him.
Well, yeah.
I haven't
gone deep on him.
I have a very high opinion of Gene Simmons, and a lot of people think Gene Simmons is a fucking cunt.
No. He's a brain. He's a real brain behind what goes on and what
he's
happened, what he's done. Say what?
He's a fucking genius.
Yeah. He's a lot smarter than he looks. And I think Tyler's probably the same way. But I don't know. I just don't like the look of him. What he's done and how he's done things is another entirely thing. He has done quite a bit.
Well, he has slept with over 5,000 women.
Yeah. Well, oh man, at my age, that's not bragging rights no more. But more dollar.
At my age, that's not bragging rights anymore. It's like that's too much fucking work.
Yeah. He just had something there going, oh my God, really? Well, he was addicted to drugs at one time.
Okay, but the Strider chapter.
Yes, I remember
him
now.
Now that we've talked about everything but this chapter.
Yeah.
How I love how the character is introduced.
Yeah. He was put in the story in a cunning way, Tolkien kind of just slipped him in there, and nobody had a clue about the real guy. Number one, you don't see that. Nobody had a clue just how important he is. He's a major character as far as the story goes, and his personality, I guess. You see him; he's a scruffy kind of guy, and he turns out to be, golden. But he is so much of that story. That's what gets me, because he just comes in one way and comes out an entirely different thing. You learn about it, and then you start to respect the writing that Tolkien did to make Strider into what he is, was, will be.
Yeah, he's an amazing character, and and I think he's written so well.
Yeah.
Because you gradually come into his persona.
Yeah.
It's not all just thrown down like the scene where he's like, he says to the hobbits, like, hey, let's go up to the top room.
Yeah.
And they literally witness their beds getting cut up.
Yeah. That's enough to make you go, crap.
That is so terrifying.
Well, when they went through, when the Nazgul went through the hotel or the inn, it was quite something, and there you get to learn violence, and here again you get a little more reality slapped in your face.
No, it's the first violence that you get in the entire book.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the scene with the Borrowites, which Linda and I were talking about last week.
Yeah.
But that's more like trepidation.
Yeah, that's definitely a trepidation, whereas we've got outright violence now.
And I'll tell you, the Borrowites scare the living shit out of me.
Yeah.
Far more than Nazgul ever could.
I don't know. A Nazgul would put a little bit of fright into me, but I think the Barrow Downs were much more stealthy about what he was doing. Much more.
It's just this whole concept of like something you can't do anything about.
Yeah. Yeah. You're just stuck with whatever he did to you.
Well,
And Nazgul, you can run away from till they catch you.
You're literally physically suspended.
Yeah. Yeah. You're just stuck right in that spot.
And that to me is the most terrifying thing of all.
Well, yeah. When I get afraid, it's really, I don't know, feeling fear is just something that, my God, what a mess. Is that my mic doing that?
No, your mic's fine.
Okay.
But no, like the Barrow-wights have always terrified the living fuck out of me because it's you can't take a physical action.
No, you can't. You're just screwed.
Like the Nazgul, you're scared as fuck.
Yeah.
But you could do something.
Yeah, I'd be leaving presents on my floor like the dog did with me, seeing the Nazgul. But good wine is always good, Linda.
Like, absolutely, at least to me, absolutely terrifying. But no, so now we have Strider.
We've got Strider, he's a guy that's wearing 2 or 3 different hats to start off with this whole deal. Strider, who holds back on so much of his personality and so much of his life, when it comes down to a lot of things. You don't know crap about Strider, and he doesn't try to prove anything. He just goes and does.
And I think that's one of the things that makes his character so likable.
Yeah.
As that he's just like, I'm just going to do this.
Do what?
I think one of the things that makes his character so likable is that he's just like, I'm just going to do this.
Yeah. This is what I'm going to do. My God, you ain't stopping me. And furthermore, I'll kick your ass on the way.
Like it's funny because it comes across, and we're on the spoiler full part of the story. It comes across like I just don't give a fuck.
Yeah, there are no fucks given. He just does whatever he does, and that is, and that was even before that saying was made, famous. Tolkien gave us that.
But actually, he cares a lot.
Oh yeah. None of that crap shows. He's like them damn elves.
And his character is so interesting. We're talking spoilers here, so it's fine. Like his relation to Fanner, his relation to Elisar.
Yeah. Oh yeah. From Elendil, all the way from Elendil, who came from that one city that nobody could find. He was the son of crap, the name just went out my head. Elendil was the only son, I think.
Yes.
From that marriage, there was like 3 children altogether. I don't know, but he was the only male. They even knew back then Elendil had such a history to be made, and for all that to go downhill and end up Strider is really, really an awesome thing to sit back and see. Learn. It's like you learn the lineage of these people afterwards. Tolkien came back and filled in the story a bit. When you're reading, Lord of the Rings, you don't know about Elendil, you don't know about these people, but they turn out to be something wonderful. That's all I can say about that. Oh, I'm echoing. Dang microphones.
All right. Can I ask the most offensive and spoiler-full question?
Why not?
Because I'm honestly interested in your answer.
Okay.
Do you think when Aragorn hooked up with
Which female?
Arendelle for the first time, do you think he was saying, I'm fucking my cousin? I'm fucking my cousin?
No, I don't think so. I remember he said when we first met, I thought I wandered into a dream, and she was just that beautiful. And I don't think he would have cared if it was his cousin. There are such things.
I was just being very naughty. No, I think that the love story is absolutely fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the most beautiful and one of the most tragic if you read it to the end.
Very tragic.
In the appendices.
Yeah.
But I make light of things. That's like what I do.
Well, like I'm saying, if he was fucking his cousin and he was having a good time at it, who cares if it was first, second, third, fifth, she was the evening star, and she was one of those.
She was Tenuviel.
Yeah, Tenuviel. Yeah, just like
it. I bear issue with a lot of people who say that Tolkien's women don't exist from the head down. No, there are a lot of people.
Yeah.
George R. R. Martin's one of them, who says like, they don't have sex. They
Gee, I kind of thought they did. I mean, they had kids. They obviously liked each other to start off with. Sooner or later.
And that's the thing that you don't need to, at least in my view, you don't need to describe all the
we need
details,
content.
You don't need to describe all the details of mom and dad time.
Yeah. You don't need to know that because there's that person, and yes, they are. just like nothing from the head down, because Tolkien goes in that you know in that way. He makes sure you know that she's beautiful, and she means a lot in the Elven Kingdom.
And she's a fucking goddess. I mean,
she is very much.
the way he writes her, she is a goddess.
Yeah.
She is absolutely untouchable.
She is, except for Galadriel.
Oh,
only
blonde I've ever fallen in love with.
Well, yeah, blonde is what got me in my trouble, but brunettes can do it too, so it's not a big deal. Redheads, it doesn't really matter the hair color. It's what happens. Oh wow. But yeah, Kate Blanchett was Kate Blanchett, right? Yeah, that's what I want to say it was.
Anyway. Kate Blanchett is Galadriel is probably one of the 10 best castings of all time.
Yeah.
Because you have to think like an elf is thousands of years old.
Mm-hmm.
But they have to come across as like 30.
Yeah, at their worst. But they have to have some wisdom, so 30 is kind of good. They got to be beautiful no matter what.
And I think that was amazing casting. Oh my gosh, we're getting to off point here.
Well, since we're off point, I'm gonna get something to drink. I'll turn around, try not to grunt and groan.
No, that's what my channel's all about, is getting off point.
The off point channel. I got it. Let's see if I can get this done. Move my chair. Get my little fridge. Nope, not gonna happen. I have to do this.
But I love the way Strider is presented in these two chapters.
He is presented in such a way. He's like a stealth thing right now, but he turns out to be something almost entirely different from what he starts out as. And in these two chapters, he's just a little bit of the onion skin is coming off, because he's got a lot of skins to tear off to get to the inside of what Strider really is.
Yeah.
So we're not seeing a whole big bunch of him, but we're getting a bit of an education. He does some wise counseling right now with hobbits who they seem like they're just fun-loving kids and they go out and do whatever.
Pippin, you're childish. Merry, you're dumb. Sam, you're loyal but dumb. And Frodo, you're fucking up bad.
Well, Frodo is one of those yuppie kids, Or Frodo, just it's all like thrown into his lap. He's got to do something, right? And then he does one of the bravest things in Middle Earth without really knowing what the hell that was, Mystery is always good, Linda.
And I think excuse me, I'm chewing on an ice cube. I do that.
Well, I don't know. I don't have ice down here.
I think Mystery is the first book of this story.
Yeah,
Mystery is so well done. I honestly think that it kind of shows the quality and skill of Tolkien.
Yeah, and he's got plenty of that.
if you read the first book, it's a mystery novel.
Yeah, I agree. It's all you don't know. It's all got to unfold. Here again, we got the onion with the mini skins, and we're just getting the dried cover off, and we're starting to see a little bit of the story and some of the major actors in it.
Right.
We don't know right now where this is going. But Strider says, "Well, I'll just lead you away. We'll go do this and that and blah blah," and that's all you got. And um, but right now, we don't have an inkling. We don't know where this is going. Frodo's got this stupid ring, and he's got to do something with it. And they, have to have a brain dead plan to go and throw it in the fire somewhere, right?
Well, you have to also remember that one of the things that I think the film's lost is that at this point, all Frodo was supposed to do was take the ring to Rivendell. Like, that was all he was supposed to do.
Yeah, that's all that
Now,
what Gandalf hinted at. I don't think he said it's got to go and then you can let go of it. I think he just said, well, yeah, we've got to do something with it.
In the film, they do touch that. And in fact, I think one of the best scenes from the film is the Council of Elrond.
Yeah, that's not quite here, but yeah.
When Frodo stands up and he's like, "I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll do it.
I'll do it. We got to do it. It's got to be done." And in the movie, they show Gandalf talking with there goes his name. Anyways, Elrond, and Gandalf says, "Well, he's brought it this far, and surely we can't make him do all this, that, and whatever, And Elrond's like, "I want no part of this thing. The elves can't hide it. It's got to go." And then you get the big hubbub of who's going to do what with where, and all that. And finally, that one small little being stands up and says, "I'll do it. Come on, let me. I'll do it." And everybody just is like, "What?"
Well, and we are jumping ahead, but like
Yes.
I said, the second half is spoiler full. Like, I love the fact that I have to say Elijah Wood is such an amazing actor.
Yeah.
Especially because this story is so close to me, and that moment when he does, he's like, "Fuck."
Yeah. Oh man. Oh yeah. You just stuck right there with there's gonna be some shit happening.
He's like, "I just wanted to go back home."
Yep.
Fuck.
Yeah.
But
now
you know what?
Do all this shit.
Somebody's got to do this, and somebody's got to do it right. And if it's going to be my little hobbit ass, then
yeah. The little hobbit ass. The hobbit was the best creature to actually have the ring, while it was working on corrupting him, and I think it had a little more power once the master was back in more or less a spiritual form or wanting to form a corporeal body. I think it had a little more power the closer it got to Sauron.
No,
the hobbits.
He held out so much longer than anybody else would have.
The hobbits resisted that magic very, very well.
Yeah.
Resisted, but eventually everything falls victim if you keep with it like that. Much like drugs, if you're mainlining heroin or you shoot cocaine or whatever, eventually, it's a great ride, but it's going to stop. And the corruption that the ring brings about is a lot like uh, the life of a drug addicted person. You've got the habit, you want to keep it, and you want to always have it, but you can't. You know, in the end, with drugs like heroin and any drug, you get to a certain point where you either give it up like Bilbo did, drop it on the floor, or you can go to your death with it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly where Frodo is right now.
And we will see his story unfold.
Yeah.
As time goes on, but it yeah, Strider. You think this one thing of him, and then you find out he's a totally different person.
Yeah.
Like he seems like so shady and sketchy.
Well, that's the whole meeting right now. It is what Tolkien wanted us to do is just kind of get a taste and make him appear like something, but not leading to the real something, which, Tolkien does that pretty well, in my opinion. He wrote this stuff, let's see. If I killed the real Strider, I could kill you, and I should have killed you already without so much talk. If I was after the ring, I could have it now. And he stood up and seemed suddenly to grow taller, and his eyes gleamed a light, keen and commanding. Throwing back his cloak, he laid his hand on the hilt of the sword that had hung concealed by his side. They did not dare to move. Sam sat wide-mouthed, staring at him dumbly. But I am the real Strider. Fortunately, he said, looking down at them, his face softened with a sudden smile. I am Aragorn, son of Arathorn, and if by life or death I can save you, I will. And boom. That was the boom. We talked about that earlier.
Anyone who says that Aragorn is introduced in a bad way.
No, he was introduced well.
No, but there are some people who don't like the way he's introduced.
Really?
And I'm like, no.
Exactly. Is there a better way to do it? I doubt it, seriously.
He walks in and he's like, I'm a Banff, but I'm not going to call myself a Banff.
Yeah.
I'm just going to sit here back in the corner, and I'm going to save your little fucking hairy foot asses.
Yeah, I'm going to do you some good here.
Whenever you need it. But there are some people who take a lot of exception to the way he introduces himself. And the thing that nobody touches on is that he says to the Hobbits something that he does not say to almost anybody else. And that's I'm Aragorn, son of Arathorn. Like he doesn't say that to anybody but Elrond.
Well, no, he said that to a few people, and Elrond
and Legolas when they're having like boy time.
Yeah.
But he says to the hobbits, "I'm Aragorn, son of Arathorn." He doesn't. It's not like he walks out like, "Hey, everybody."
No, he just kind of slid in there. I mean, that's what he just slid in and said, "Hey guys, this is what we're going to do." I've got a better handle on what. Damn microphone. Got a better handle on what can or cannot be done. I got a shield. I got to get a better mic. Is what I got to do. But where was I?
He he never brags about his position.
No bragging whatsoever. He didn't even say he was the heir of Eladine. He didn't say right off the bat who that he was going to be a king or anything. He just said, yeah, he pledged his sword to Frodo, is what Linda says, and that was it. He didn't say a whole lot. Who is Arathorn?
And that's the first thing he fucking does is he pledges his sword to Frodo.
Yep.
And that means so much.
Yeah. This is how the story's going to go. You've got at least one fighter here with you.
Dude, if you had this ring that you needed to get rid of, I'd be like, Zeta, I'll pledge my gun to you.
That'd help. That'd help. I have to have a gun too. Frodo didn't even have a gun. He didn't have any weapon except for Sting later on.
Well,
right now he's got a
I
dagger.
have a number of swords, but I'm far more accurate with a gun.
So am I. A sword, I'd probably just cool your face with it. I wouldn't be able to hurt you with it. Just create a lot of wind.
I'd be like that scene in the movie, I pledge my axe.
Mm-hmm.
I pledge my gun.
Yep, I pledge my gun too. They're pledging axes, bows, swords, and the son of Gondor will see it done. He didn't say I'm going to do anything with my sword. I don't believe. He just said,
gosh. Oh, okay. When we get to that, chapter,
way ahead.
When we get to that chapter, will you please be my guest?
Sure.
Because I really want. I really want to hear your thoughts on that chapter.
I've got lots of thoughts about that chapter, let me tell you. Yeah, sure. I'd be more than happy. And I'll even have booze that day. By gosh, it's no fun sitting around talking a lot, but at least being able to drink a beer. But I've only got one beer, and everything was too busy to be able to go get more alcohol today. So, yeah, buddy.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it's a hard life, right? Oh, well.
You should come over to my house. I have like...
I'd be constantly drunk.
19 different scotches.
Oh my.
7 different vodkas. 14 different bourbons.
Oh my. I
collect.
Man, sounds good. But my problem is when I collect, I drink it. I'm a dumbass, you know. I can have full bottles, but no.
If I just spent $800 on a fucking bottle of bourbon, I'm not going to slam it.
Oh no! I might crack it open in a year or two after just sitting and looking at it for a while, because that's. I'll even drink really expensive bourbon. I like my scotch, but I'll have a little touch of bourbon, and if it's 800,000 bucks a bottle, I'll take a lot of time getting rid of that. You just buy a lot of beer and like sniff the cork for a while, and then drink more beer. That's how you do it. That's how I do it.
Anything else to say about Strider?
Let me see here.
Now, like I said, these 2 chapters plant the seeds for the end of the story so well.
Yeah.
And very quietly and very casually. Like the gun's just put in the desk drawer.
Yeah, it's right there, but here we go back with the line that I mentioned earlier. I see, laughed Strider. I look foul and feel fair. Is that it? All that is gold does not glitter. Not all those who wander are lost.
Glitter. Not all those who wander are lost.
Yep.
Oh. I actually have a shirt that says that.
Wow. See, I don't buy cool shirts or anything. I don't know. Maybe I'm just out of touch with the world. But yeah.
I mostly wear Soul Asylum shirts, like this one right here.
Yeah.
And what I've always found terribly amusing that Soul Asylum does is they take alcohol labels, and make them into T-shirts.
Well, now that would probably scare my daughter if I was wearing stuff like that.
This is like the Jägermeister.
Ooh, that would be. You could have to get in the field of the camera there. Oh, there we go.
This is the Jägermeister logo, but as opposed to the cross, it's a light bulb, and then it says "Sie I'm a Freundlich," which means friendly.
I see. Wait a minute. For a female, Strider makes your heart beat faster. Yeah, Linda, he does. I would say that. Well, okay. I personally kind of had like a man crush on Viggo Mortensen when I first saw him. It's
he's a hot dude.
He's a hot dude, and he fit that spot so well. He does Aragorn like Aragorn should be done.
But then my crush comes up later in this film. And
I like Thorin too, but no, he's a different book.
That is Liv Taylor.
Yeah.
Do you know to the date and the year we actually share a birthday?
I think I've heard this. Yeah, I know. You share the birthday, and I would share anything I could with her. Even if it comes down to just wearing each other's socks, I'd share them.
I yeah, there are so many attractive women in this film.
Oh, I looked up the gal.
But I would marry Liv
Eowyn.
Taylor.
Yeah, Liv I would marry, even though she's not rich. You know, I finally decided at my old age, I'll marry a rich woman, you know, just so I can die stupid. But other than that, no, she would be one of them, and then Eowyn would be another one I could hang with all day. After seeing her in that white whatever she had on and that belt, I was just like, I'm lost. This woman is awesome.
Missandra, what's her last name?
I couldn't tell you.
Yes, the young lady who played Eowyn.
Yeah.
The casting in this was just brilliant. In the thing that for me was so much better about the Lord of the Rings than the Hobbit is that with the Lord of the Rings, somebody told Peter Jackson no.
Yeah. That was crazy.
And so there was somebody who was like, no, this is stupid.
No
With the
way.
Hobbit, with the Hobbit, he had absolute control over the whole thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there was nobody to tell him no.
Well, I think he
And
did pretty well.
Oh, come on. Don't tell me you think those three films were anywhere near as good as
the Hobbit films?
Yeah.
No. I did not like them as well at all. I liked them.
I mean, they were good. They were fun to watch. But there was also a lot of rubbish there.
Yeah. What about the
nobody told him no.
True.
You know, and that's the thing with Lord of the Rings. There was somebody who could tell him no.
Oh yeah. You
There was
can't
somebody
do
who
this.
was like, that's the stupidest idea I've ever fucking heard.
Well,
with the Hobbit films, everybody's just like, oh, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Just do it. And I gone through the behind the scenes stuff and all that with that as well because I bought the DVDs. They did some pretty ridiculous stuff when it comes to the barrels that floated down the river from what is it, Thranduil. Damn it, yeah.
That actually didn't bother me.
Well, what got me about that whole deal is the fish. He used real frozen fish, and he had those. Huh?
Radagast bothered the fuck out of me.
Oh, Radagast was out there, man. He was so far out there.
I have no issue with the actor. In fact, I loved him when he was in Doctor Who.
Yeah. But what they did to Radagast,
the way he was portrayed in The Hobbit, it was like Jar Jar fucking Binks.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't recall reading anywhere that he had a bird nest under his hat and he had bird poop going down his face.
Yeah,
you know.
It was stupid Peter Jackson bullshit.
Well, I don't know. I've never really formed an opinion on Peter Jackson other than he did a pretty good job. I think he did an excellent job with Lord of the Rings.
So
The
do I.
Hobbit was a whole different thing,
Yeah.
and it was difficult to cast them well, I guess, because he picked certain people, and yeah, it did turn
No,
out kind of
I think his cast was great.
well. I
Uh,
wouldn't have gone to some of the detail that he went to in some of the things, and at the same time, I would have told more about the story at the name of that lake village. Anyways,
oh no, that's what I'm saying. I think the cast was great. I think the writing was rubbish.
yeah, there's a lot of crap.
But I do think the cast was great. I think they were.
I
I
had
can't say anything bad about any of
I
them.
had definite opinions about the characters in the movie. And for me to have a definite opinion about them, it means they were cast well because I took them in and looked them over in my little mind, where where the pictures are painted, as Linda said. When you read, you can paint a picture in your mind of what these characters look like, and I think that the casting was done well, but it's kind of like the seventh season of the GOT. It didn't measure. Of course, the seventh season for Game of Thrones could measure up to anything because there was too many people wanting way too much. But going
Oh
back
no,
to the Hobbit,
you you have those things like for me. Uh, I believe you and I have talked about this a bit. I'm a huge Stephen King fan.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Stu Redmond is
John
always
Aston was
going to
awesome.
be is always going to be Gary.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I cannot. Every time I read that fucking book, it's gonna be Gary.
Yeah, yeah,
Like that's who
yeah,
I'm gonna picture. That's who I'm gonna. And I do think that says something about the actor that
yeah,
they possess that piece so well.
yeah. They get in there and they own it, and yeah, some owned it a whole lot better than others. In Lord of the Rings, just about everybody owned everything they had.
Oh my
In
gosh!
in
Yeah,
the Hobbit, there was a
Lord of
lot
the
more
Rings.
learning.
Lord of the Rings. Everybody owned what they had.
Yeah, buddy, they all did it
Okay.
right.
Can you think of anybody besides Christopher Lee playing Saruman?
No, no, he could have. He had to be Saruman. He couldn't be like Gandalf because that wouldn't have fit
Wait,
him.
that's what he wanted to be. He
Yeah,
wanted to
that's
play
where he
Gandalf.
started. That's where he started going. But no, he was a better actor for Saruman. I I firmly believe that. He could he would have messed up Gandalf
I
because
don't think he would have messed him up, but
it would have
he,
been rendered way different.
he made Saruman
Yes,
Saruman.
yes,
Like
yes, he
like
did.
Christopher Lee, God rest his soul,
Yeah,
could be evil like nobody else.
yeah, buddy.
Like you're just like, oh my fuck. You're evil incarnate.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. Um, there's a certain actor that can do that, and there's certain actors that can't.
And then
And
Gandalf is Ian Holm.
yeah, yeah, Ian, I love him and just about everything he does.
Oh yeah, Sir Ian Holm, brilliant.
Yeah,
Elijah Wood is Frodo.
Elijah permanently owns that, mostly for his eyes. You know, he owns.
Those pretty fucking eyes that don't work.
Yeah, well, he had some
No, no,
great
no,
eyes.
no. I was reading an interview, and apparently his eyes are so bad that he has to wear these like
Oh, shit, really?
insane contacts.
Oh man, that sucks because he does have beautiful eyes. I wouldn't try to get him because
And
my eyes are
and
old.
and Dominic Monaghan was actually talking about it. He's like it's like having a baby around,
Yeah.
you know, because they're like looking at everything. They're like,
Wow.
what, what, what? Dominic Monaghan, by the way. Oh my God,
Yeah.
amazing Meriadoc.
Yeah. He was.
Pippin, Billy Boyd was just brilliant as Pippin.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you and I were talking about earlier. Like Merry and Pippin are supposed to be teenagers,
Yeah. Well, they are. Aren't they in their
and
tweens up until the 30s or something like that?
yeah, and those two young men play teenagers getting stuck in serious situations
They played the hell out of that.
so well.
Oh, uh, Farmer Maggot. Farmer Maggot's crop, you know, is was a hell of a way to introduce those two, to Pippin and Mary. But you got it. That's them. That's
I
just
think
them.
I broke something.
It's a carrot. I waited for that, and then he holds up a broken carrot, and I'm like, oh God, what is this? Great sight gags. And Sean Astin,
Sean Astin.
like
I have
Linda was
always
saying,
said, and I always will say, uh, Samwise Gamgee is the hero of this story.
he stole the main role. They used him for so many things. It's like at the Green Dragon right off the bat when they're leaving, and he likes that red haired gal. Oh crap, forget her name. But anyways, they're both a little sloshed, and this guy says, he goes his extravagant good night to the gal, and he's like, "Boy, watch what you're saying," and then Frodo said, "Well, she knows an idiot when she sees one or whatever, And he goes, "She does," and that just got it because
No,
what
no,
Frodo said was, "What?
absolutely fucking brilliant.
Yeah." And Sean Astin did an awesome job the
Orlando
whole
Bloom
way
is
through.
Legolas.
Orlando Bloom, that guy, yeah,
He's so pretty.
but he freaking owned. He was an elf, by God, he owned that part.
Well, no, it actually. I was watching an interview, and Peter Jackson was like, "It's so hard to cast elves."
Well, they got Orlando right, didn't they?
He's like because they have to look youthful,
Yeah,
but at the same time, they have to look like they've lived for 5,000 years.
Well, that's the problem. But we can't say anything bad about the casting because the four main elves all turned out very well, didn't they? I mean, we've got Legolas, we've got Liv Tyler is now I forgot the name, damn it. Anyways, the Evening Star, and then we've got Kate Blanchett as in Lorien, and we've got Elrond.
Yeah,
They all owned those parts, and they all look just right for it. You've got two beautiful women and the two, these sturdy elf men as well. So, and then we've got Viggo wandering around in the elf kingdom and the kingdom of man all at the same time, and young Lev just latches onto his heart and will not let go. Yeah, so those characters all came out well, but Samwise is one of the ones that provided a lot of comic relief. Him and who is Riley, the guy that played Gimli, the dwarf.
Oh, okay.
John Rhys.
John Rhys Davis.
John Rhys, yeah, that's it. He was just comic relief the entire time,
which is unfortunate.
But he's so good.
But he wasn't comic relief the whole time. There were actual, serious moments of his, but the way he was cast, it became comic relief, and that's the thing that the one thing that bothers me about the Lord of the Rings trip it is dwarves being comic relief.
Yeah, because they're nothing like that.
Because they're fucking bad ass.
Yeah. Well, he was also a badass. I mean, him and Legolas had a killing contest pretty much throughout the entire film. How many they killed here, how many killed there. I'm sitting pretty on 24.
42.
42 is it? Well, see. And then Legolas has to shoot it, it twitched. It twitched because my axe is buried in its nervous system.
Yes.
I died laughing at that.
And John Rhys Davis actually had to go through a lot of suffering because of his prosthetics.
Yeah, he was allergic.
Yeah.
He was allergic is what I got on that. And poor guy.
It caused like inflammatory issues and things like that.
He had some real troubles there. But he did well.
Let's see who else do we have? Oh, Sean fucking Astin.
We just talked about him. Sean did a good job. He did an awesome job. I mean,
yes.
Could there be a Samwise without Sean Astin?
I don't think a lot of people realize that Samwise is the most integral character in this book.
He is a very base character, a very major character, because he goes through and he even helps his buddy out, when we get down to it. He's right there. He's the backbone that Frodo needs at times to get him through this ordeal. Without Samwise, he would have been screwed.
What about the other Sean?
Sean Bean. I was very upset he died. I liked Sean Bean quite a bit.
How are you upset that he died? You had read the book already. You knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, but I didn't want him to die. I thought maybe in the movie, I was not damn he died, full of arrows, fell over dead, It was
No,
very.
I thought Sean Bean was brilliant. I thought he, uh, in projecting Boromir's
He
internal
did.
conflict.
He did a good Boromir.
Because Boromir is all about internal conflict. He's a good man.
Yeah, he's a great man, and
He's
he's a gung ho son of a gun.
He's a good man who wants to take care of his home.
Yeah,
and he's a good man with honor. And that one side of the ring,
it got to him. Yeah,
gets to him.
Well, yeah, but he's a powerful fella,
and I think he portrayed that so well.
But
like the I'm a good man who's making a very bad decision.
yeah. Sean Bean was killed off in Lord of the Rings. Sean Bean was killed off in Game of Thrones. I've seen Sean where he stayed alive during a few films too, which was great. But
when I hit the Powerball, I'm going to produce the movie, and Sean Bean's going to be my major actor.
There you go.
And he's going to survive.
Now that I want to see. I want to see Sean Bean stay alive. Because he gets killed off in all these medieval things.
He's gonna survive like The Rock survives in. It's like, how the fuck did you do that? Oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
By the way, The Rock is running for office?
Yeah. I saw that and completely forgot about it, and you just reminded me. And, oh, wait a minute. Who's that ex-rapper wanted to run for president too?
No, The Rock's just running for Senate. But...
Oh, Senate. Well, that's a better deal. He should actually get that because he can act very well, and that's my opinion of.
And he's an extremely intelligent human being.
Yeah. It's not that I don't like The Rock, because I do. I watched him in several films, I do believe. I do think that a Senate seat would be great for him. I think he could do something if he can play that game. Now, he knows how to play the game in Hollywood, so he should be able to do the game, like Reagan did. Reagan came up from governor, and then he went straight to president, but he knew the game and how to play it. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for a lot of people. His theatrics were good, though, like telling Gorbachev, tear down that wall. That wall was broken way before then. And it was just catching up with him. But that's just another thing. It has nothing to do with Lord of the Rings. I think Rock would do well. I really do.
Who are other actors? Billy Boyd?
Kanye. DeWitt.
Billy Boyd as Pippin was perfect.
Billy Boyd, I think he was good.
In fact, I think it was the most perfect casting in the entire film.
Yeah.
If you disagree, please say so. But
well, no, because he did his part very well. I think there was a lot to him that he actually did behind the scenes in the film that worked out well.
Well, for one thing, he was Scottish, and
Yeah.
a took should be Scottish.
Yes, it definitely should be. I have no Irish. I have no Scottish blood. I do have Irish blood. They tell me, which may be the whole problem with me and Scott. I don't know. If Ireland ever goes down, I'm dead. Along with Scots. Scotland goes. I like. Yeah, I'm pushing myself to try new scotches. I'm going to get some Macallan and see what that does for me. Or something. I need another Highland single malt.
Get some Lafroig.
Yeah, right. Like, I'm just going to go right out and buy that. That's some expensive shit. I'll Google it and see what happens.
If angels spit in a bottle, that's what Lafroig would taste like.
Oh, man. That could be true. I really don't know.
I consider Lafroig a food group.
Well, Scotch in general is a food group. What? Oh, you said I.
But yeah, the casting for Lord of the Rings was great.
They did a lot.
These two chapters, do you have anything else to say about? The ring race.
The ring race, the Black Riders. Now, see, there was this debacle at Weathertop. Here the hobbits were acting just like hobbits. Little fire going, making bacon and stuff like that. They had no clue. Merry and Pip had no clue that somebody would be able to see that and then think to kill them. That didn't enter their mind. Say what?
They're a bunch of dumb teenagers.
Exactly. They just up and did that, and didn't even think twice.
But I'm talking the ring race and Bree.
Yeah, that should have sobered him up.
Now, I love that the film actually showed the ring race coming in.
Yeah, it went down different in the book.
Yeah, in the book, it's like it happened and you find it out afterwards.
Yeah,
and in the book that works.
Yeah,
in the film, actually seeing them.
Yeah, watching them. What got me was they were stupid enough to kill clothes in the bed. They should have at least been able to tell if there were actual human body or actual bodies in there. What about second breakfast? Yes.
In the film, it actually, more than anything, it made me think of Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, she's asleep.
Because there's this like fey creature, that's just coming in, like if you remember from the film when they're walking in with their swords.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It is so terrifying.
Well, dude, 9 guys with really big fucking swords. Yeah, I would be really rattled right about then. Kind of like what the Hound said. You gotta have armor and a big fucking sword. Well, they had the big fucking sword. Plus, you could slash at them all day with a sword and not hurt them. You might be able to kill off the body or that little container for that time, but they were still what they were.
They're going to come back.
Yeah, they'll be back. There was only one way to get rid of them. Now Linda wrote down Something she did not agree with. No, I don't totally agree. I think we were talking. God, I'm lost about what we were talking about. I think it was on the characters. Was it Billy Boyd or the other one you did not totally agree with, Linda?
Yeah, because
I'm lost. I lost myself once again.
I lose myself all the time.
Yeah.
I specialize in it.
Yeah, well, I get lost just sitting here in my chair. Next thing you know, it's like, oh crap.
It's actually my mutant power is to get lost. You know, like there are some who teleport or.
Yeah.
Mine is like I get lost and I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about, and then I'm like, oh yeah, wait.
Yeah, I could do that at times.
I read this.
Well, it's like that movie you were telling me to see with your most favorite actor. That name has gone out of my head now. Oh, that Pippin was best cast. Okay. I don't know. Pip was pretty good.
I think Pippin's casting was brilliant. If anybody's seen the films, I think his casting was brilliant because he's supposed to play a very young man.
Yeah, he did a pretty good job at that.
And I think he does very well.
With Pippin, now things happened in the movie, of course, that Merry and Pip didn't do, and you have to. I think George was just trying to show us their youth, you know. When they get into Gandalf's cart at the say what?
Did you just say George?
Yeah, George.
John.
The direct. No. I wasn't calling your name.
No.
I'm lost.
J.R.R. Tolkien. That would be John. Ronald Rule. Tolkien. You even stole my RR.
Yeah, the RR. Well, what can I say? I look like apparently people think I'm like a hippie or something. I don't know why. But
which is hilarious. Given I know quite a few of the things you've been through, and calling you a hippie would be
that
ridiculous.
Is so far from the truth.
Would be ridiculous.
Well, you know, I did wear barrel bottoms in high school and tie-dye shirts and stuff. But here again, it was youth, like Merry and Pippin. Got rid of those things and all the shit that goes with it.
Well, yeah, Merry and Pippin are like you know. So it's one of the things I love about the book is that they're like dumb kids.
Yeah, they're little ruffians. You know, they run around and do whatever, and that makes them endearing because they're hobbits and they do, you know, not so good things. Like Bilbo and Frodo were straight laced, zoom right down the line. But we got Pippin and Merry to get into all kinds of shit, you know, and they're endearing in that way. And yeah, we've got Samwise, who is an entirely different kind of hobbit. But Samwise, hobbit he was.
I mean, and I've said this before, and I'll probably say it again. Samwise is the real hero of this story.
Yeah. Yeah, he was the unsung, the one that was the best supporting actor. You know, in my estimation,
he's just like, yeah, I don't want a bigger garden.
Well, I think
he's like, I want to shag Rosie Cotton.
Yeah, that's it. That was that woman's name, Rosie Cotton.
And I want like a little garden that I can take care of on my own.
Yeah, but well,
and I don't want anything else.
Well, did he really need a whole lot? Sam was steady going. He needed to be alive. He needed to have certain things. Rosie Cotton was one of them. And potatoes. What's taters? Precious. Potatoes. Mash them, bake them, stick them in a stew, whatever he said.
May I ask you, when I get to those two chapters,
yeah,
would you please be my guest?
Sure. I might even buy a real microphone and dig through my junk drawer here and find some earbuds, but
because I really want your thoughts when Gollum is properly introduced.
You got it, because he's something right there. He was introduced. Well, we'll save it for when he's introduced. But yeah, I have opinions on that young man.
So right now we have this sketchy ass guy named Strider, who the hobbits are following off into the woods.
Well, yeah, and they're not really sure why they're doing it. You know,
right?
But they're doing it.
They got a letter. That's about it.
Yeah.
And Barlam and Butterbur, oh my god, like Butterbur has to be the biggest stoner of all time.
Yeah, how you could just space that letter off. I mean, I could do that, but it takes a lot of pot to do that, to space shit like that. It really does. I mean, I could drink alcohol a lot and still not forget something like a letter that was supposed to go there. But no, Butterbur, he's got so many things. Puts one thing in, one thing falls out. Is pretty much what he said.
That's exactly what Tolkien says.
Yeah.
One thing goes in and the other falls out.
Yeah. And that letter fell out like last week. It totally was gone out of his mind. And then he goes, oh, by the way, here's this oh, no, they didn't even show that in the movie, but yeah.
I was supposed to send this out 3 months ago.
Yeah, you're supposed to have this now. Actually, 3 months ago, and I'm sorry, my brain is burned up from all the good ale I've got. I don't know. Yeah, he sort of missed a point on that one. I want to know who does the cooking at Butterbur's, at the Prancing Pony.
Probably Knob.
I don't know. Knob does everything else. He cleans up the plates. So somebody does some cooking somewhere in there. I'm not real sure. It's like a microphone. When echo on me because I'm talking too loud or something. I don't know.
And then we have that moment when Mary goes to get a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. Now, wasn't that a real trick? that wasn't in the movie at all, but that worked out, you know, in a fashion because Mary's out there. He's not even around when some of this shit goes down. And then he shows back up. I mean, wouldn't Frodo want to go out and look for him or whatever, and didn't Strider hold him back or whatever?
Yeah.
I think that's what.
He goes to get a breath of fresh air, and
Yeah.
he doesn't get fresh air. He gets Nazgul air.
Yeah, which is not a good thing for that poor guy. I'm lost on it now. I just scroll onto the book. I mean, on the letter.
Oh, I do think that there's a bit of a preview given when Mary is bugged by the Nazgul.
Oh, well, yeah.
Because there's something that happens in about 6 books. Five books that Mary getting breathed on by the Nazgul figures into.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that never made it to the movies that's in this book. And I think it's all very important. And most of it is way past. Well, let's see. We'll get a preview of it in the Two Towers. Will give us some more insight into Saruman. And then, but we still don't get the afterwards from the movie that we get in the book. You know, the movie just goes tra la la. They were married. They lived happily ever after. Had the little get together scene, and then next thing you know, they're back in the Shire. But that's a whole nother spoiler deal.
I mean, Saruman, even in the book, is a little bitch.
Yeah. Well, number one, he's trying to keep Gandalf down because Gandalf almost got to be the head of the council, but then they let the White do it. You know, Saruman, and Gandalf stayed with the Grey, and then poor Radagast, he went off to the forest and never really came back. And then the other two Astaris are gone.
I hated Radagast in the films.
Yeah, that sucked. I did not like the way he was represented. Period. Either.
I don't just like the actor. Like I think the actor is actually like very funny. He was great on Doctor Who.
Yeah.
But the way he was written.
Well, who would go around with a fucking bird nest in their hair? I mean,
and that's what it always comes down to is the way a character is written.
Yeah.
When it comes to a film performance.
Hey, you can only do with what you're given. You
right.
Act whatever you've got. I mean, the actor almost could never say, no. This is what the character did in the book. Then you get Peter Jackson going, dude, no. This is how we wrote it, and this is what you're going to do. You know?
Star Wars prequel haters hate Hayden Christensen.
Really?
Hayden Christensen. Like there's so many people who hate Hayden Christensen. And I'm like, he played that character perfectly.
Which character?
Is Anakin Skywalker.
Oh, yeah. What's wrong with that?
Because the entire point of that character is I am a terribly emotional fucking teenager. And
I've lived
I
through
need,
one of those.
I need to deny myself
Yeah.
all of those emotions. Like I need to be. And people are like, "Oh, his acting was wooden." I'm like,
No.
"Yeah, it's supposed to be."
Yeah. It's exactly how it was done, how it was portrayed, or how it was supposed to be portrayed, I guess I should say, because that's what they wanted.
But on
Anakin
the same
is
note,
a
his dialogue was
teenager.
written very badly, and that's
Yeah.
because George, much like Peter Jackson with the Hobbit films, George Lucas was there was nobody to tell him no,
Yeah. He went nuts.
and I think directors need that.
Every once in a while, you need somebody to stand up and say, "Yeah, you think you're a godlike being, but no,
Yeah,
you got a little too far here."
exactly. This is a rubbish fire.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you know, Dan and Dave. I'm sorry,
Damn
I'm
it.
bringing this up, and there are so many people in the fandom. Dan and Dave, the writers for Game of Thrones.
Oh, well, those guys.
I really don't think they would have done so many things wrong with the last two seasons if there had just been somebody who was like, no.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think because Martin was still writing, didn't really have anything for the last two, for season 6 and 7. Season 6, the ending of that, I purely loved. But
Oh, my very favorite episode of all of Game of Thrones is the last episode of season 7,
where everybody dies.
where Arya fucking kills Littlefinger.
Oh yeah. That I like that. Little Arya, just little Arya. We're introduced to her wearing a flipping, helmet and shit when the king comes, and she's out. She's got this piece of armor on when Ned's best friend, the king, shows up, and Ned just kind of takes it away from her and just throws it away or whatever. That's little Arya, and then she's a freaking accomplished murderess by the end of a few books later. She's killing people left and right. The way she did House Frey was
Oh my gosh, yeah.
awesome too.
I
I
love
love
that.
that. Yeah.
No, they're here, sir.
In the pie. He slit. Pulls up her
I mean, there were some things the show did very well, but on the same note, the last two seasons, there was a lot that was done very poorly.
Yeah. I don't know. I was all for that whole scene where everybody got killed off, where Cersei had the crows, or not the crows, but the sparrows and all of those people that tortured her earlier.
Oh yeah,
Watching that whole place go up in a nice bright green flame and shit. That was satisfying. I
Okay,
didn't
we're
certainly
getting
as an
so
actress.
far off topic.
Oh yeah. Well, but things end. Black Rider's straight photo. Where?
Any other thoughts to share about these two chapters?
I think I'm pretty well tapped out on it.
The Black Riders are written so well.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of the things I have to throw in before we end this. Is the Black Riders are written so well because Tolkien makes them creepy,
Yeah.
but doesn't describe them.
Well, that's the whole point. He didn't describe what they truly are. I mean, somebody else does later. I think.
No, the elves are scared to even talk about them.
Well, yeah, they don't want to say their names or say what they are because they might show up. Like, poof, how? You can't summon them. The only thing you can do is show one golden ring and get their attention. Otherwise, they have to use animals to see. They have to use. They were stupid. Okay, they went up on Weathertop, and they got. Well, that's next. That's yeah. It's not even time for that, is it? Oh, let's see. They got.
That's next week.
Yeah. So, anyways, the Black Riders, in that respect, were flipping idiots at times. Because they just didn't think about. Well, obviously they couldn't think a whole lot. Yes, Tolkien is. I can't call him a master, but yeah, he's the best as far as these books go, and as far as the writing of this sort.
I can call him a fucking master.
Yeah, well, we'll have to go into that someday.
I don't think there's ever been a greater writer.
Yeah, he is the best. I think Tolkien just made all this stuff happen just from writing some books. So many things happened because he wrote them. So many things are still happening because he wrote them.
I got my children making millions off my Silmarillions. And I'm more rock and roll than you've ever been. Don't believe me? Ask Led Zeppelin.
That's right.
Have you seen that?
Where? What?
The epic rap battle between George R. R. Martin and J.R.R. Tolkien?
No, I have not.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I can find it.
We need to make that happen.
Yeah.
But no. Your final thoughts on these two chapters. I would
final thoughts are here. Tolkien managed to represent some really sinister things that would cause true alarm and bedlam in much later, in the books, aka the Black Riders. And he also put a mystery on Strider and represented him as some stealthy little ruffian kind of guy. And then he was, I think, probably the first that was drawn out of his scruffy, ratty guy into a much better and brighter picture. In other words, he was exposed to be more than what he was, what he looked like, anyways. And Tolkien draws that out of people in his characters in more than just these certain chapters. He does it all along. So we've got people blooming into something that wasn't even thought of before yet, and yet he's got them in motion now. Strider is in that motion now. He's gone to Aragorn, but what is Aragorn? What's going to happen? What are we going to do with these little two teenage Pippin and Merry guys? And we've got the good, loyal Sam and Frodo, who's like, oh, crap, he doesn't know exactly what he's doing yet. And we've got Gandalf running around doing whatever.
Oh, especially the first two books, like, the Fellowship of the Ring, like the first two books.
Yeah,
I think Frodo is just like walking around like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Poor Frodo. Talking about one of those lost. He's lost out there. You don't even know what he bit yet or what's going to bite.
That's what makes him such an endearing character.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what's endearing about all of them, because all the hobbits just sort of jumped in and said, let's go do this thing, bashing, And,
oh, yeah. Freddie Bolger.
Yeah, he was a great
Bolger.
Yeah, he got the worst job out of the whole deal, I think. He got the worst job staying behind.
Well, he wanted to stay behind, so
yeah. Well, he was smart, but staying behind sort of screwed him too.
You made your bed, so sleep in it.
yeah. Exactly. And those are my final thoughts for this evening, because it's been what? It's 9:55 for you. It's 8:55 for me.
We're at like 3 hours.
Yeah, I think we put Linda to sleep, poor gal.
So, any final thoughts? Or are you good to go?
I'm good to go. I'm going to watch the Cow Jump Over the Moon and sing that little song.
All right. We'll have some post talk here in a moment. And this has been a great time. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Oh, totally my pleasure. My pleasure. Next time I'm getting sauced. Okay.
That's fine.
I'm drinking alcohol next time because, I just like it, and I would have liked it more tonight. But oh well.
That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah. In the meantime, everybody, be excellent to one another. POUR.
Party on.
Party the fuck on.
That's right. Bye, everybody.